Well, hello there, my beautiful, gorgeous foxes, and thank you so much for joining me here on my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a super easy way how to crimp a wig. So take your drabby wig that looks like this, and yes, if I was smart, I would have taken a before and then after, but I didn't. So anyways, and get it looking like this. A beautiful, full, like Madonna style? Is that a thing? Maybe? I don't know. But anyways, you want to get your wig looking like this? Then I suggest you keep on watching because it's going to be super easy. It's a process, but it's easy. Okay, you know what? Let's just watch it. Okay, so here I have my very inexpensive mannequin head. I do have it attached to a mannequin head stand. You don't have to do this. However you choose your setup's totally fine, but I do suggest using a mannequin head. It definitely makes working on a wig a lot easier. This guy is from Hobby Lobby. I ended up paying like $3 and some change for it. If you have the 40% off coupon, I highly suggest getting one of these just cheapo mannequin heads. They're styrofoam and they last a long time, and if something happens to it, it was only a few dollars and some change, so not a big deal. So however you have your setup, great. Take your wig that you are wanting to crimp and you are going to place this on. Okay, so now that the wig is on the mannequin head, what you're gonna wanna do is take some bobby pins. Any bobby pins are gonna work, or if you just have regular pins, use whatever. I just use these because it's easiest. And I'm going to stab that through the wig and into the mannequin head. That way, while I'm tugging and pulling on the wig, it's not going to be moving and sliding around a lot. It's going to make it much, much easier to work with. So you don't need a ton of these pins. I like to stick one here in the center and then one on either side just to keep this in place while we're working. And then the other thing you're gonna need is some tiny rubber bands. These are just the Goodies Ouchless. It really doesn't matter. I usually get these from the dollar store. So super cheap, nothing extra special, and you wanna get those out and ready. So now we are ready to start braiding our wig, and there are a few key things that are important when you are going to be braiding a wig to make it look crimped. Number one is the actual size of your sectioning. Now a smaller section is going to create a really, really fine and tight crimp, and that is also going to be a lot more frizzy. And then if you want to go a little bit larger in your sectioning, you're going to get a much softer wave. I'm going for a little bit of a medium large. I don't want it to be too large where the waves are so soft that this falls flat. I really want to give this some volume. So I'm going to go about mid wave here. And the next thing that is really important is when you are braiding, making sure that your sections of your braid are the same size so you get a really consistent crimp all the way through. So you can see each one of these is going to be the same size. And then lastly, depending upon how much volume you're wanting to add to this, I suggest either braiding up to give more volume, braiding to the side for less volume, and then braiding down for no volume at all. And hopefully that makes sense. So if you are braiding and pulling the hair up, that means when it boils, it's going to set with the hair coming from the wig cap moving up. It's going to give you the most volume and lift here at the root. If you're going from the side here, you're going to still get a little bit of volume. It's going to kind of set at a side angle. So you're still gonna get that pull out and that lift from the root, but not as much as you would if you were going straight up. And then of course, if you lay it down, you're not going to get any volume at all, as you can see here. So with all of that being said, there is nothing left to do except for start the really long process of braiding. Okay, so there were a few things that I did not mention, but I feel are also very helpful. They may be givens, but I wanted to go ahead and mention them now, just in case, is number one, obviously having your wig brushed and combed out is going to make a huge difference in the amount of time it is going to take you to braid. If you have everything already brushed and smooth, you're going to have a much easier time sectioning and braiding that hair. Also, the other thing that I did not mention, but is also very helpful, is having some sort of clip or something that you can clip the hair that is not being braided out of the way so that while you are braiding, you're not accidentally catching those hairs in the braid. I've just done this so many times. I don't do those two things anymore because I'm lazy and instead of working smarter, I like to work harder. But I did want to mention those things just in case any of you might not have thought of it. but it does make life a lot easier while you are doing the braiding process.
One eternity later.
So now we have the entire wig braided. My fingers feel like they are going to fall off. We are now going to be boiling the wig. You want to remove, of course, the bobby pins so that the wig will release from the mannequin stand. We're gonna take her off and we're gonna boil her like a lobster. Not like a lobster, it's not like a wig. I'm gonna boil her like a wig. We're gonna boil it. Okay, so here I have a pot that is full of water and it is coming to a boil. You can choose to use a pot on a stove, or you can use a bowl in a microwave. I personally like to use a pot on the stove because I feel like I have better control of how hot the water actually is. In the microwave, I never really kind of know. So it's up to you what you use. Also, you want to have a towel on standby, very close, so that you can transfer the wig to it once we are done boiling. You're also probably going to want to use some heat protectant gloves. I'm not going to because I've done this so many times, and again, I'm lazy and unsafe. So I definitely highly suggest using some gloves that are heat protectant, or some gloves nonetheless, or using a pair of tongs to be able to dip the wig in and out of the water with. Again, I've done this so many times and I am just reckless. So highly, highly advise that you do this. If you do not know that you could get burned and you're doing it at your own risk, don't be stupid. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So what I am going to do is let the water come to a full boil, and then I am going to turn the heat off of it and let it set here for a good 5 to 10 minutes. You don't want your water so hot that you actually melt the synthetic fibers, but you want it hot enough that it is going to set the synthetic fibers. So this guy is actually now at a full rolling boil. Not rolling boil, I mean, it's boiling. There's bubbles everywhere, okay? It's hot enough. There's steam, it's hot. It's hot. Okay, so my water is now hot enough. I am going to turn my heat off. I'm gonna let this guy set for just a little bit so that it can cool down enough to be safe for the synthetic wig. Make sure that when you are boiling a synthetic wig that your wig can at least stand temperatures up to 130 degrees, I suggest. Any less than that, you run the risk of melting the actual synthetic fibers, and that's not what we want here. We just want them to set in place. So once this is kind of cooled down, what we are going to do is take our wig and we are going to dip it into the water and make sure all of the braided parts are completely submerged in the water. You are going to let it set in that water for 30 seconds. Any more than that, I feel like you run the risk of, again, melting those fibers. Any less than that, and it's not really going to set your style in place. So through trial and error, for me, I have found that 30 seconds is the perfect amount of time to allow those synthetic fibers to set in whatever style you have placed in your wig, as opposed to actually melting them. And any less time than that, you run the risk of your style not setting and you have just wasted all of this time and energy for nothing. We don't want that. So with all of that being said, I am going to let this set for a little bit so that it cools down enough to be safe for our synthetic wig, and then we are going to be dipping it, and yeah, that's gonna be happening. Okay, so my water has been setting for about 7 minutes now, and it is time to dip our wig. Again, let me preface that you should most definitely have heat protecting gloves on or be using tongs. Don't be as I say, not as I do. Okay, let's get dipping. So you're just going to want to, again, fully submerge your wig in the water. All of the braided areas are going to be in the water so we can set that style, and I am going to start counting for 30 seconds. Okay, and our wig is set for a good 30 seconds, and I'm gonna pull it out of the water using tongs. Yes, I am being safe. You're welcome. And we're gonna pull this out. Let this drip a little bit. If you did have heat protectant gloves, you could kind of squeeze out the excess moisture right now. I don't, so I'm just gonna let it drip for a hot second, and then I am going to push this over and lay this on our towel. So now what I'm going to do is kind of wrap the towel around the wig, and we are going to towel dry the wig a little bit first. Now it is not going to completely dry in the towel, so you are going to need to transfer it to an area that it can dry. I also highly suggest putting a towel underneath the wig because the synthetic fibers are not like regular hair. They are not going to absorb the moisture from the water at all. So it is all going to drip out of the wig. So again, I highly suggest putting a towel under the wig wherever it is that you decide to place it to dry. So what I have done is actually just thrown a towel over one of my sewing body stands, and I have placed the wig over top of that. And I also do have a towel down below to catch any of that water that's going to drip off the ends here. And I am going to let this dry. It usually takes up to 2 days to fully and completely dry. So I am going to allow and give it that time to dry, and I will see you guys in a bit. Now that our wig is completely dry, it is time to release all of the braids. Get your fingers ready. Okay, now that our braids are completely let out, we have this beautiful, nice, crimped look. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to keep this nice, tight, crimped style, or do you want it to be very full and voluminous? I personally prefer it to be very full and voluminous, and to get it that way, it's super simple. All you have to do is grab yourself a handy dandy brush and brush it out. Now, I would be very careful brushing it out. If you brush too much, you get too much frizz. So what I like to do is take section by section and begin brushing it out. Now, if you prefer this style of it just having this nice little wave crimp in it, then just go ahead and leave it as is. But for me, in the style that I'm wanting for this wig, I am going to brush it out. As you can see already, this portion back here is still that nice, tight, laid down crimp. And this here is the section we have brushed out, and it's got that nice poof and fullness to it. You still see that crimp in there, of course, but it is becoming a much fuller wig now. So I'm going to continue to brush out the rest of this wig here. Okay, so hopefully you can see the difference. Obviously there is a clear color difference, but this side is the side that has been brushed out. It's nice and fluffy and soft and just really, really voluminous. And then we have the side that is not, which is laying a much more flat, although it is laying against my table, so we're not getting the full effect here. That's more like it. So you have that really soft wave as opposed to this fluffiness, which I actually love. Okay, let's go ahead and finish brushing out this wig. Okay, now that our style is nice and brushed out, there is nothing left to do except for put this bad boy on. Who's with me? Who's excited? I'm excited. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Are you excited? Okay, well, you can't answer that, so let's do this. And this is the final result of our crimping style process. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this and it was easy to follow along. I feel like this is definitely the easiest way to set a style into a synthetic wig. And if you would like to see more videos like this, don't forget to let me know down below. Like, share, subscribe, all those good things, you know. And also if you want to see what the heck is going on with this makeup in this video, I'm going to have a link in the description down below to the video where I did this makeup. So there's nothing really left to do except for, say, well, okay, bye. Bye.